They laughed at our ships. They mocked our weapons. They thought we were weak until they discovered the one thing no galaxy could predict, the one thing no alien species could replicate. When humanity was cornered, we didn't surrender. We became a nightmare they could never calculate. They didn't fear our weapons, they feared our humanity. The galaxy had cataloged extinction more times than it could remember. Empires rose, burned brightly, and vanished. Species discovered faster than light travel, celebrated, expanded, and were erased by something stronger. By the time humanity appeared, the galaxy believed it understood war completely. Weapons decided outcomes. Numbers decided survival. Efficiency decided victory. Emotion was a flaw. Hope was a liability. And humans were emotional, unpredictable, chaotic, a species that laughed in the face of despair. Humanity entered the galactic community quietly. No grand announcement. No overwhelming fleets. No godlike technology. They arrived with patched ships, inconsistent designs, and an uncomfortable habit of smiling during negotiations. Alien observers cataloged them meticulously. Biology fragile. Technology innovative but unstable. Psychology highly emotional. Military doctrine inconsistent. Their conclusion: potentially dangerous in small conflicts, non-threatening in total war. But the first warning was already embedded in subtle details. Humans were curious, even when threatened. Their diplomats questioned motives instead of cowering. Their engineers improvised solutions for problems that did not yet exist. And across scattered colonies, civilians maintained routines with quiet dignity. Schools continued to operate. Markets opened despite rationing. Families celebrated small victories, like the birth of a child or the repair of a city's power grid. The galaxy assumed weakness. They were wrong. The first signs of miscalculation appeared in minor border skirmishes. Alien patrols, expecting quick surrender, found human ships engaging in delayed retreats, small but calculated counterattacks, and daring evasive maneuvers. One cruiser, heavily outgunned, performed an improvised jump through a collapsing asteroid field to save a convoy, a maneuver later analyzed and dismissed by alien tacticians as reckless and coincidental. Humans tolerated losses, but never recklessly. Civilians were evacuated in advance of attacks. Commanders calculated every move to inflict damage while minimizing critical failures. Engineers stripped non-essential equipment from ships, converting them for maximum impact in short engagements. Some vessels, designed for one-way missions, carried crew who had volunteered with full knowledge of their likely death. Observers considered this a quirk. It was, in truth, preparation. Alien analysts recorded an unsettling trend. The more hopeless the situation appeared, the more deliberate human behavior became. Panic did not break human crews. It sharpened them. Decisions were made calmly, with humor and even warmth amidst chaos. Log entries recorded soldiers joking about the odds of survival, referencing popular cultural phrases and offering sarcastic commentary on alien tactical errors. The galaxy had never witnessed combat infused with humanity, a combination of courage, intellect, and irreverence. Human colonies on peripheral systems faced the first overt pressure. Alien fleets sealed trade corridors and attempted economic chokeholds. Analysts predicted civil unrest. Entire colonies should have rebelled or surrendered. Instead, civilians followed meticulously prepared evacuation plans. Children were relocated first. Supply lines for the elderly were prioritized. Hospitals managed triage efficiently despite scarce resources. Alien commanders marked these behaviors as anomalies. Meanwhile, human military infrastructure underwent subtle but transformative changes. Shipyards merged civilian and military designs, creating vessels optimized for mission-specific objectives rather than long-term engagement. Weapons were recalibrated for precision overloads. Reactor cores reinforced for one-time catastrophic strikes. Logs repeatedly noted, "We won't need this later." This phrase was echoed across fleets and factories. Engineers, soldiers, and civilians alike understood the underlying principle. Survival was no longer the first objective. Effectiveness and impact were. The galaxy dismissed these changes as desperation. It was the first mistake. Early engagements further highlighted the disparity in perception. Human patrols encountered alien scouting parties and, though heavily outnumbered, executed rapid strikes that disabled multiple ships with minimal losses. Boarding maneuvers, calculated ramming, and improvised weapon modifications became commonplace. Each encounter was logged with precise efficiency. No unnecessary destruction, no unplanned retreat, but maximum strategic impact. Alien commanders, confident in their superiority, wrote dismissive reports. Humans fight without strategy. Chaos dictates their actions. They will break eventually. They were wrong. Internal communication within human fleets revealed another layer of complexity. Commanders coordinated across planetary systems, transmitting encrypted messages with humor, encouragement, and coded instructions that only other humans could interpret. Morale remained high despite repeated losses. For every ship destroyed, 5 new operational plans were immediately executed. This was not blind luck or recklessness. It was a demonstration of what humans did when cornered. They became unpredictable. They became effective. They became dangerous in ways the galaxy could not compute. Alien fleets escalated their response. Entire battle groups were assigned to capture isolated human colonies. Analysts predicted rapid capitulation. Human colonies instead adapted quickly. Emergency manufacturing, civilian participation in defense logistics, and coordinated evacuation allowed colonies to inflict substantial damage before succumbing. Entire asteroid belts were rigged as traps. Mining equipment was converted into impromptu weapons platforms. Civilian vessels acted as both shield and weapon, knowing the risks and embracing them. For every battle, alien observers noted one inescapable fact: humans did not act out of fear. They acted out of deliberate choice. Sacrifice was understood and often embraced. Alien calculations failed to predict human resilience because it was driven not by survival instinct alone, but by principle, courage, and an unwillingness to surrender dignity, even in defeat. By the time the alien coalition had secured human space, the pattern was undeniable. Human fleets had lost ships, colonies had fallen, and supply lines were severed. Yet humans had executed every retreat and engagement with purpose and precision. They had accepted loss, but refused humiliation. Every step of the way, humans inflicted calculated costs on their enemies, sending a clear signal: do not underestimate us. Do not assume weakness. Our weapons are expendable. Our lives are too. But our humanity is not. The coalition's final reports before total encirclement concluded humans lack the means to win. They had asked the wrong question. The real question was, what will humans do when defeat is certain? The answer was approaching quietly, inexorably, as the galaxy watched the species they thought they understood and failed to grasp: the true nature of humanity. The galaxy closed in with precision. Jump gates were sealed. Trade corridors collapsed. Human colonies were isolated one by one. Every supply route and communication channel was monitored. No declaration of war was issued. It was not necessary. The suffocation of isolation was punishment enough. Alien commanders expected panic, civilian unrest, political fractures. They anticipated desperate retaliation. What they got was calm. Humanity adapted with methodical precision. Evacuation plans executed flawlessly. Civilians followed instructions without hesitation. Hospitals operated at maximum efficiency despite resource scarcity. Schools continued teaching. Children moved safely under military guidance. Markets and farms, though limited in capacity, functioned with steady discipline. Alien analysts recorded these anomalies but dismissed them, confident their simulations could account for small variations. They were wrong. Human military doctrine evolved rapidly. Victory and survival, the traditional metrics of war, were abandoned. Instead, cost imposed became the new measure. Every maneuver, every strike, every retreat asked, how much damage can we make them pay? Ships were reassigned, not to defend territory, but to intersect enemy movements. Tactical decisions prioritized maximum disruption over personal or strategic safety. Engagements began to escalate. Human frigates, damaged and outnumbered, charged alien cruisers with reckless precision. Boarding parties struck ships far larger than theirs. Mining vessels, once passive, were retrofitted as weapons of mass disruption. Civilian transports stripped to their cores rammed enemy formations, collapsing firing lines. Every ship, every weapon, every civilian asset became part of a larger, lethal calculus alien commanders struggled to understand. Their numerical advantage failed to produce predictable results. Losses mounted despite technological superiority. Chaos swept across the command structures of the coalition fleets. Analysts noted human behavior defied probability. Survival was secondary. Impact was paramount. Individual acts of heroism became emblematic of the species' resolve. Crews on doomed ships maintained composure, issuing calm, tactical reports even as reactors melted. Engineers diverted power to create last-minute weapons overloads, sending entire enemy formations into disarray. Pilots coordinated with fleet-wide precision despite imminent destruction. Communication logs, recovered later by alien intelligence, revealed the astonishing psychology of human fighters. Soldiers joked about their own deaths. Pilots sarcastically critiqued enemy tactics mid-battle. Commanders gave calm orders while fully aware of the fatal odds. The galaxy had never seen bravery so intentional, so calculated, so unflinchingly human. Alien fleets attempted to enforce total dominance. Every isolated human colony was surrounded, every fleet harried, every supply line severed. Analysts predicted rapid surrender. Instead, humans turned desperation into opportunity. Factories, though damaged, produced weapons for specific kamikaze maneuvers. Transport fleets, stripped of unnecessary weight, became precision projectiles. Planets were rigged with improvised orbital traps. Every engagement inflicted disproportionate costs. Civilians became integral to strategy. Communications networks relayed tactical data. Engineers adapted industrial machinery for weaponization. Miners recalibrated lasers for short-range bombardment. Even children were involved indirectly, relaying information, signaling warnings, or maintaining morale through symbolic acts. Humanity weaponized every resource, every individual, every act. Alien morale began to fracture. Command protocols failed. Superiors clashed over contradictory orders. Algorithms could not anticipate human ingenuity. Calculations that predicted surrender were repeatedly invalidated. Every encounter, every minor battle, every unexpected human tactic chipped away at confidence. One moment crystallized a shift. A crippled human destroyer, with hull breached and shields failing, surged into the center of a 10-ship alien formation. It detonated, collapsing multiple vessels in a single strike. The galaxy recorded it as suicidal behavior. Only humans understood it as strategy. Behind the scenes, humanity's coordination was staggering. Fleets across multiple star systems synchronized attacks without centralized command. Each squadron, each vessel, each unit understood its role instinctively. Losses were anticipated, factored, and utilized to maximize effect. Humans had transformed apparent weakness into strategic advantage. Alien analysts, observing from command bridges, noted a terrifying truth. Humans were most dangerous when cornered. Their calm was not fearlessness. It was calculation under absolute despair. Their attacks were not blind. They were precise. Their losses were not mistakes. They were tools. Every engagement carried symbolic weight. Logs show civilians watching from orbital stations, acknowledging ships lost in deliberate strikes, understanding the cost but willing to pay it. Scientists and engineers cheered as their modifications destabilized enemy formations. Every individual became part of a larger, intentional, human-driven force. Why now? Alien leadership recognized a new variable in their calculations. This was no longer just a military conflict. It was psychological. The humans were reshaping the battlefield with resolve and intention, turning despair into weaponry. Analysts began to whisper terms like suicidal brilliance and emotional contagion. Despite devastating losses, human colonies maintained order and purpose. Evacuations were complete, families moved, and supply chains optimized for combat efficiency. Ships already damaged were intentionally sent into enemy formations. Mines, refitted as weapons, detonated in key choke points. Civilians and soldiers alike embraced the inherent risks. Alien fleets faltered not because of the weapons humanity wielded, but because of the certainty and clarity of human resolve. The alien coalition's final assessments were unnerving. Humans were acting with no regard for survival, yet with unmatched coordination and effectiveness. Every calculated loss amplified damage to the enemy. Every predictable engagement became unpredictable by the time the coalition recognized the pattern. It was too late. Human fleets had accepted extinction and weaponized despair. Alien commanders understood at last. Humanity's danger was never technological. It was moral and psychological. Cornered, desperate, and unafraid of death, humans were unstoppable. Humanity had reached the point where survival no longer constrained action. Their mission was no longer to win, but to make the enemy pay for every step forward. If you destroy us, we will destroy the idea that this was worth it. Every minor victory, every calculated sacrifice, every human life lost carried this message. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not survive underestimating them again. The alien armada had humanity cornered. Every jump lane sealed. Every supply line severed. Every colony under siege. Every fleet outnumbered and outgunned. The galaxy expected surrender. Humanity did not surrender. Instead, they struck. Not with hidden weapons or miraculous technology, but with coordination, courage, and inevitability. Ships that should have fled surged forward. Boarding parties struck crippled vessels at point-blank range. Civilian transports, stripped to cores, collided deliberately with enemy formations, collapsing firing lines and disabling gunners. Each action exacted maximum cost. Each sacrifice had purpose. Alien commanders were stunned. These were not acts of desperation. They were precise, intentional, and horrifyingly effective. They called it suicidal brilliance. They called it chaos. Humans called it strategy. Every engagement demonstrated humanity's unique psychology. Damage did not weaken resolve. It sharpened it. Pilots coordinated attacks while knowing their own ships would not survive. Engineers rerouted failing reactors to destabilize enemy vessels. Soldiers joked about the odds of survival while executing lethal maneuvers. Fleet-wide synchronization was flawless. Even without centralized command, an alien algorithm could predict these movements. No historical data could anticipate human tactics. The more the aliens tried to calculate, the more unpredictable humanity became. Survival was secondary. Impact was everything. The climax came when multiple alien fleets converged on the human home system. Thousands of ships in formation, expecting an easy victory. Human vessels, fewer by orders of magnitude, executed a series of maneuvers that defied all prior logic. Civilian transports, industrial vessels, and damaged frigates became living weapons. They intentionally entered enemy formations, detonating, ramming, or disabling alien ships with engineered precision. Mining vessels created temporary debris fields that crippled entire squadrons. Human destroyers, barely functional, targeted alien command ships, collapsing communications and causing total chaos. Alien fleets panicked. Command protocols failed. Algorithms overloaded. Orders conflicted. Every engagement reinforced the same lesson. Human will cannot be cornered. You could destroy their ships, kill their soldiers, or isolate their colonies, but you could never break the human spirit. Amid the chaos, humanity made no proclamation, no broadcast of victory, no propaganda, not even triumphal messages. Yet the effect was undeniable. Every ship lost, every life exposed, every planet sacrificed carried the same unspoken message. The cost of underestimating humanity is higher than any weapon. The alien armada withdrew, not because humans were invincible, not because victory was achieved, but because continuing the war was no longer worth it. They had learned the unthinkable, cornered humans of the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. Humanity rebuilt quietly. Fleets replenished, colonies restored, survivors returned to normal life. But the lesson remained etched in galactic memory. Humans did not boast. They did not celebrate. They persisted. Integrity, courage, and humanity itself remained intact. Galactic historians recorded the event in every strategic manual. One line became universal doctrine: never corner a human. Not because humans would always win, not because their weapons were superior, but because humanity's will, once cornered, becomes the ultimate weapon. Centuries later, alien civilizations told the story to cadets and young strategists. Ships were named after the lost human fleets as warnings. Every commander learned the same truth. Humans were not the species with the fastest ships, the strongest weapons, or the largest armies. They were the species capable of making the galaxy fear their humanity. The legacy endured. Across star systems, treaties, and generations, the cornered human remained a universal symbol. Alien fleets trained endlessly to anticipate tactics, but they knew they could never fully understand what made humans deadly. Their resolve, their creativity, their courage, their will to persist even when survival seemed impossible. The galaxy never again underestimated a human. One brief, terrifying campaign had revealed an immutable truth. They didn't fear our weapons. They feared our humanity, and that fear would echo through the stars forever.